Hello and welcome back, everybody. Episode 8 of Slim, Slam and the Bandwagon Fan. I'm Slim. To my right, that's Slam. And to my left, that's the Bandwagon Fan. Boys, how are we?
I think I'm doing a lot better than you are tonight.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, we're off to a bit of a rocky start off air, but we're starting to hit our straps now. We'll be just fine. Slammer, how you tracking, mate?
I'd like to be referred to as King Slammer tonight, Blaze.
King Slammer, why is that, mate?
Because I'm going to be wearing the crown.
All right, well, we'll get to that. We'd hate to be premature. That's not a good start. Hey, tonight we're doing the review of... We're doing the review of week 2 of all the NFL action. We've got the giggles in the booth a little bit. We've had some technical issues, but we're going to come good, aren't we, Schnazi?
Mate, we're always going to come good. And you know why we're going to come good?
Why is that, my friend?
Good call, bad call.
Good call, bad call. Get into it nice and early. What do you got for us? We haven't seen this again, have we?
No.
So we're flying blind.
Good call, bad call.
Yes, my friend.
The Eagles sound guy will be sacked in the morning.
Great call. Do you want me to take this one?
Take this one, my friend.
Okay, so those of you who don't know, which is probably most of you, the Eagles had nobody in their stands.
Nobody.
They were playing a home game, and
Empty
when Carson
stadium.
Wentz missed a target in, I think, the second or third quarter, the sound guy played booze.
He played booze.
He booed the
Genuinely.
home team off the field. Unbelievable.
Maybe he was that upset with what... I mean, the Philly fans are quite passionate.
They're passionate, but that is going probably a tad
That
far.
might be another
It's
level.
not really helping the team get into the game.
I don't reckon that's in his job description.
No.
No, wind up the home team.
I don't imagine Carson or Doug Peterson would have been too keen on that.
No.
I think that's a great call,
But
Chucky.
for us casuals sitting at home, unbelievably good.
Oh, great content.
Unbelievably
Great
good.
content for a little homemade podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly right.
I love that.
So sacked in the morning, Slammer.
Sacked in the morning.
Great call. Great
Probably
call.
already gone.
Yeah.
Number 2, Justin Herbert must start week 3 versus the Panthers.
He has to start, Chuck. He's gone up against the MVP, Patrick Mahomes boy, and he's just gone toe-to-toe with him all the way to OT and really got pretty unlucky in some respects.
Played his heart out.
Yeah.
Played really well. I think not knowing all week that he was going to start because it was only a game-time decision because Tyrod had a chest thing that he ended up going to hospital for. But I think that would have helped his build-up because it wouldn't have made the moment bigger than it was for him.
Yep.
But he played really, really well. He only really made the one mistake, the interception that he threw.
Probably cost him the game.
And it did.
Yeah.
It was a turning point. It did turn all
But
the
that's a
momentum.
rookie error, isn't it?
That
Like,
is.
you
And he
expect
could,
that.
because he could have just kept running and picked up the first. But yeah, I mean, but he'll learn from that. And he's even with that, played all right in the second half as well. And yeah, in the first half was looking really nice.
Yeah,
He was
100%.
going for the big play and it backfired because, as
Yeah.
you said, he had the first down.
Did throw into like triple coverage.
Yeah.
We've seen a little bit of that, like even with Joe Burrow in the Thursday night game against the Browns. There's a little bit of, hey, you're not in college anymore, mate. Like,
Yeah.
Burrow took a couple of big sacks, and I think that's a learning for Herbert. But I think if you're a Chargers fan,
You'd be excited about what you saw.
about that. And I hope that Coach Lynn doesn't. I think he came out and said
He did come out?
Yeah, he came out and said
said
Tyrod will
Tyrod
be
is
his
still the
starter. Which I mean, I understand wanting to give him more time, but for what you saw, let's just blood him and see.
Well,
how he
yeah,
goes.
why would you
Like,
not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So I think it's a good call there.
Good. Third question.
Yep.
Third good call, bad call. It's not really a question, really.
No, it's not
Yes,
really,
it is
but
question,
statement.
yeah, it's a statement.
Open-ended.
Ingram and Bosa are the best defensive end combo in the league.
Got a bit of a theme of the Chargers going on. Chucky, you want to take that one? They look pretty good. in
They
my
look pretty
opinion.
good. They are very dangerous. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones. If Von Miller and Chubb, if Von was
that's good.
playing, that'd be another good one, another AFC West one there. But I mean, from what we've seen so far, I mean, there's probably a couple of blokes on that Redskins line as well that are looking pretty good as they did in week 1.
Yep.
But as far as good call, bad call, I'm going to give that the good call, Schnaz. I reckon they are menacing. They are both absolute studs.
You won't
at
get
that
much
position.
complaint from me.
They gave
As-
the O-line
same
an
as the-
absolute bath.
Same as the San Francisco D line, but as we'll talk about later, that one is a little hurt and a little banged
It's
up right now.
diminishing pretty quickly.
Yeah, a couple of old Joey Bosa's younger brother,
Nick.
Nick, in a bit
Yeah,
of
the
strife.
smaller bear.
Yeah, small bear, not small at all. But hey,
Number
good
4.
good call, Schnazzy.
Fitztragic bought himself some more time with that solid or, serviceable performance.
Well, this is the week tour review.
This is the week 2 review.
Now we were pretty keen on getting tour in, and
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. I think he showed enough. Maybe if like you mentioned, Schnaz, if there's concerns around Tua's readiness for that level, then you probably have bought yourself at least a week. I think we mentioned last in the last preview episode that, if things went west quickly, there would be or south for that matter, there would be no question that you'd have to bring into a. I mean, if we're going to complete the compass, I think we're still only waiting for
North.
Now,
I'm going to say
So
bad call,
north of
though.
the
I'm going to say bad call based on what we saw out of Herbert this week. I reckon
Get him
love
in.
the
True,
kid. Get
true.
the kid in. Because, what are they? They're 0-2 at the moment to start. The Dolphins, I
Yep.
think. 0-2.
Yeah, 0-2.
Yep. So, what better time than now? Get him in. Thursday night football, short week, so we wouldn't have to stew on it long again. Just like Herbert gets the Jags week one. In his week one.
Yep.
I'd say go for
It'd
it.
be a good time to blood him, but I think with his performance, probably bought him or prolonged the inevitable.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Give him a bit more time. I mean, I don't think you can lose in that situation now. I think if Fitztragic was to go out and lose to the Jags, I think red alert. But, I mean, that's not too dissimilar to the game that's just been against the Bills, I think. So, it's a week-by-week proposition down in Miami at the moment.
And we'll keep our finger on the pulse.
100%. That's what we do.
Right, moving right along. If the Vikings lose this week to the Titans, their season is virtually over.
Well, I think they've lost Anthony Barr. Me
Yep.
and Sam were talking about this earlier today. Big out in that linebacker core. There's some questions already with Diggs' departure and a massive red flag.
Offense hasn't looked right.
Hasn't looked right. And there's a massive red flag come out of week 2 in terms of Kirk's output. And I know you'll be right all over that when we get to that game. I think, it's a must win for them.
Absolutely.
I think 0-3 in that division.
At home to the Titans this week as well.
At home. And the Packers look, probably better than we thought they were going to. I think, 100% good call, Schnazzy. I think you've got to show something this week against good opposition. And, that Titans defense will ask a bit of Kirk again. But, it's now or never. I think 0-3 is not the start you're after if you're that franchise trying to, pave a way in that division. So
No, it's must win. It's must win.
Yeah,
All right.
100% good call, my friend.
Last one, quick one. This one's for Slammer.
Yep.
DK Metcalf is taking over.
DK Metcalf has arrived, no doubt.
100%.
Took Gilmore to the cleaners on one long TD on the weekend and has looked sick. Slipped in the draft way further than everyone was thought he was going to after that sick combine. But obviously we have seen a lot of people come out and be combine stars and then not put it into NFL practice like John Ross, for example. But no, he has exploded and he's
I mean, there's an element of
He's
this
a
too,
gun now.
Schnaz. I know you're directing this at Slam and, close me out of the conversation, but I will get involved. He's receiving from
Not my show.
he's receiving from Russell Wilson, and that guy's running hot. So
yeah, but he's wide receiver 1 at the moment.
I'm not trying to downplay it at all. I'm just saying
Him and Lockett. It's probably a head-for-head in mine. Lockett's
when
pretty
you've got
serviceable.
But
Russell,
he's just so big and so quick.
he's a tight end size.
He's a
playing wide out.
he's a nightmare matchup.
Nightmare matchup.
And I think probably the reason I called this out too was because there was that matchup with the Patriots, I think, at the end of the first round, took N'Keal Harry.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Played okay, but compared to what the output from Metcalf,
Yeah, when
and
you
when
line
the-
them up side by
when the
side.
Patriots could use some receivers,
Yeah.
like Edelman went for 170-ish
Yeah,
yards,
massive day.
career high. There's not a lot of options for Cam out there, and
No.
N'Keal needs to step up.
Well, Cam's doing it all himself, but we'll get to that for sure. For what you could have expected out of Cam coming out when, no one was showing him any love. He's playing for a contract. He's playing for his career, really. And
100%.
And you can see it. You can really see it. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that, though.
And I reckon more future good call, bad call will revolve around Cam Newton and his career. So
I
stay
think so.
tuned.
I think so. That's probably a very safe call from you, Schnazzy. And also another really good segment from you, mate. You're really kicking goals with that, so congratulations from me.
Well, I was here on time tonight, so thank you.
Very good. Little drive-by to get us into the week that was, Chucky.
Absolutely.
As the fans have come to love, it does make me feel safe going to you first. So let's have a look at the Thursday
It's like
night.
a security blanket.
That's right. Yeah, and everyone needs their security blanket. Browns, Bengals. Thursday night football. The Bengals, as Schnaz.
35-30 to the
Yep.
Browns.
Yep. Quite a... Yeah, I think we all kind of thought the Browns would get it done. The Bengals were a sneaky chance, and I think we were probably surprised by the quality of viewing that it was. It wasn't exactly a masterpiece in terms of quality.
Yeah.
Didn't you two tip the Bengals?
We both did. Yep.
I tipped the Bengals for the upset.
Which
because
hurts a
I
little.
liked what they were doing and I liked how they were week 1 against the Chargers.
Like
And
Smoke and Joe.
Yep,
I'm not
Smoky
upset
Joe.
about it after that.
Yeah, they've shown enough.
Did show enough.
I
Joe
think
Burrow.
also we probably gave him that game or that matchup a bit of flack as well about not being prime time. But, high scoring game. Both Baker and Burrow did a bit.
Yeah, well, Joe Burrow, how many balls did he have to throw in the end?
61 pass attempts. Now, if he has to do that many more times this year,
He's gonna
his
need a
arm's gonna
mechanical
fall
arm.
off. Like, 61 attempts. They only rushed the ball 16
It's
times.
insane, isn't it? When you've got Joe Mixon as well, like that seems like a bit of a disparity.
Oh, sorry, I think that was 16 rushes for Mixon.
Yeah,
right.
that
Yeah,
was
it
16 for
So
Mixon.
probably, a little bit more than that, but
you
still
sprinkle a few
very
more in.
lopsided.
It
Very
wasn't a lot
lopsided.
of yards from Mixon.
75%, no, not a lot. But
And it wasn't
75%
like
of the
they
time
were-
they were throwing.
It wasn't like a situation where you typically see the ball thrown a lot when you're down 2 touchdowns or something and you have to.
Yeah.
Like, they was pretty close all day, and yet they really wanted Joe to take control and fling it around the place.
I think a lot of that would have had to do with the Browns' defensive line as well. It's just very hard to run on that defensive
100%.
unit as well. But obviously, in contrast to that, Baker only had to throw it 23 times.
Yeah.
And they had Chubb and Hunt combined for 32
32
rushes
carries.
and 210 yards on the ground. The Bengals D got slaughtered on the ground.
And that's where the game was won or lost.
Absolutely.
100%.
They ran all over
the
them.
coverage was all over our call when we previewed the Browns in the preseason around that 1-2 punch in the backfield, possibly arguably being the best in football. I think they really made a good statement to back that up.
Yes.
In that game.
Absolutely.
I would want to touch. I know you guys have got some more points to go on that. Just briefly, AJ Green's game.
Oh.
3 catches
On about
12
12 targets. 12 targets.
You know what
I
he
think.
looks like? He looks like an old man who's recovering from an injury.
He looks
He
like a
does.
man that's missed a year of football.
Yeah.
He does.
He dropped a
18
he
months
dropped
of
a
football, I reckon.
yeah, he dropped a catch
precise.
that was going to go him into the end zone as well. So
It
that
wasn't,
really hurt.
it wasn't like they were bad, like junk targets. Like there was some real catchable balls that he
Yeah,
was dropping.
he put some down.
And he let his young quarterback down a little
Some
bit. I would've
that
thought.
him a year and a half ago, there's no way he would have dropped.
Yeah.
Is
Just
he 30,
uncharacteristic.
31
30,
now?
31.
Around that,
Looks a
31,
step
32.
slow, probably because he's still getting over the injury and 18 months out of football. But signs are not promising.
No, you'd be concerned about that, especially as your wide receiver wide.
He's technically before Burrow, he was their marquee man.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Hey, into the tips. I think we briefly may have touched on it, but myself and Slammer did take the Bengals trying to jag a roughie. It's come back to bite us, and Shanaz, you've extended your early
I picked the
lead.
Browns by a field goal and it was
Yeah.
5, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you'd be.
Well,
you'd be
Schnaz and I
stoked.
both had 13 tips of the week, and I think yourself had 12, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I know
We all went over 75%.
We'll get to it. I mean, they're great numbers. They're great numbers.
But as we did say, it was an easier tipping week.
It was, and to pat ourselves on the back might be a bit misconstrued. I did take the Panthers against the Bucks. We'll get to that. Maybe moving right along straight away into the Titans-Jags game. As the Jags continue to surprise us, Schnaz? Like, what's going on down there in Jacksonville?
Just for the viewers, Blaze, what was the score in that one?
The viewers 33-30. So that's why I'm a bit. Oh, how about the Jags?
Yes.
I don't think anyone would have expected.
Minshew Mania's taken off.
It is. I know. I said it last
Minshew,
week.
That's the whole tank for Trevor thing that you plugged in
No
the
one's told
preseason.
him.
He hasn't.
It's
he doesn't
evaporated.
get it.
Yeah, it's evaporated. No one told Minshew that his job's up and we're going for someone
Yeah.
else.
No,
He's trying.
He didn't
his
know he was on a
absolute
year
hardest.
loan. Yeah.
Or his trade value is going up.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
another
fair.
part of it. I think if the Jags are to continue to struggle to stack those wins,
When you see him warm up before games, he wears the cut off singlet, he's got the mower, he's got the long hair, he's got the headband in, like the sleeves are fully cut off and everything.
Yeah.
And he just looks like an old fashioned player.
he looks like something out of True
He-
Detective. Just pop culture reference for you, just off the rip.
Thanks. But like he just looks like he's like a man who's not scared of anything. Like he's just going out there and he's going to throw that thing.
Just
and he
looks
looks
like a
he's
guy
born
doing
with
it
a
for
pigskin.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like he's down
it's
the
not a
park with his
job.
mates. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a job for him. He's just out there having fun.
And if the Jags end up, they could still well and truly have the worst record once
Yeah.
it's all said and done.
Yeah.
He's a very good young option that another team could try trade up and get.
Oh, someone
Yeah.
like Indianapolis, I think, would be itching for something. I think they tried to do that with Jacoby Brissett. It hasn't
Yeah, it
worked
hasn't
out.
worked out.
Yeah.
But something like that may be a little plug and play action. But that's obviously all to come. And you know for a fact that Slim Slam and the Bandwagon Fan will be all over that when the time comes.
We will be. And you know
Well-
what we're also all over?
What's that, my
The
friend?
Titans, who Slammer and I are
Absolutely.
both quite hot on.
Yeah.
Yep. I picked
Heating
him for the
up.
division. Did I? Yes. I
Yes.
did.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
So, interesting stat on them. When Derrick Henry has 25 or more carries, irrelevant of yards, they are 9-0.
That's insane.
If
So
he
even
rushes
if
the ball 25 times or more, they win. And that's
Now-
a fact.
that is obviously a testament to those 25 carries with Derrick Henry more often than not are highly effective. But with that said,
And because they're playing from in front.
Yeah,
He
of
has
course.
a lot of runs. But
that's
still.
a fantastic number, and you'd be chuffed with your marquee back. Stacking those kind of numbers.
And to add to Slammers, so last year the Titans started 4 wins, 5 losses. Since then they are 9-12,
Right.
and those 3 losses, one was
So,
the loss.
9-3
9 and
of
3.
their last
Yeah,
12.
9-3. So
Yeah.
1-9 out of the last 12, so 3
Yeah.
losses in there. Those 3 losses, one was to the Chiefs in the playoffs last year.
That happens.
One was a 21-24 loss to the Texans.
Yeah.
And one was a 28-38 loss to New Orleans.
There you go.
So they're 3 tough losses.
Not bad teams from last year.
So
those
they are-
three. All
They're
playoff
running
teams.
hot, aren't they?
They've kept that train going from last year.
Tannehill played very well on the weekend as well.
Yep.
18 of 24 for 4 touchdowns and no picks. He looked good.
For a guy that's
Silenced a few of the doubters.
yeah, I was going to say that's a divisive figure.
And I'm one of those doubters.
Yeah, and I still don't think the jury's out on Tannehill just yet. But if he can continue to perform, he doesn't even have to perform at that level necessarily. But his output needs to remain good, and just support Derrick Henry and what
Needs to manage the game and feed the beast.
That's right, feed the beast, feed Derrick Henry.
Hey, I'm getting itchy.
You're getting itchy for the Bucks Panthers.
Yep.
I think it's an understatement to say I'm not hot on the Buccaneers or the Succaneers, as I've come to term them. But they did go out and beat the Panthers on the weekend at home for the first game at Tom Brady's new stadium.
This wasn't as convincing a win as the 31-17 scoreline predicts either, because McCaffrey left the game second or third quarter, late second, early third, something like that. And because the Bucks did have, I think it was 21-0 or 17-0 lead at one stage, and the Panthers came right back to be pretty much level, and then that injury happened, and then they got, it didn't end up that way. But also, the Panthers have lost their last 10 regular season games.
Yeah, so they're not a very hot
They're not
football
looking
team.
good.
No, they are not on a roll at all.
And I think we were very hot on the unders for the Panthers this year too.
Yeah,
we were.
I think I had them 5-11 or something.
We were.
One thing to note from this game as well is I think there was 2 drop touchdowns as well from the receivers.
There you go.
Which probably make the score look a little bit worse than it was. But notwithstanding that, I don't want to read too much into this game because I think, as we said last week, the Panthers' defense is arguably the worst in the league, and the only team that makes the Panthers look good at this stage is the Jets, and that's not something to hang your hat on.
That is not something to hang your hat on whatsoever.
So, as I said last week, 0 concerns at this stage with the Bucks. Still 0 concerns.
Yeah.
Happy to see them roll into next week before I pass any significant judgment.
I will make a concession, Schnars. I've called a little bit on my hatred for... Well, not hatred, because that's not right. But my disdain for the way the Buccaneers were getting received. I think, having watched the Saints today, and then obviously them... getting a win against the Panthers, steady. Yep. I'll just be steady on it for the time being. I'm still not convinced with...
Look, after what I saw today from the Saints, it makes me think maybe the Bucks aren't as good as advertised because they did lose to the Saints, and now they've only just beaten the Panthers, who, as we've said, haven't been very good in their last 10 games. Brady still, for mine, didn't look great.
Looked better.
Monday
he
morning.
looked a lot better.
Still had a pick. I think the rushing game is what's going to get it done here. They had 3 rushes, all go well. Yeah, the rushing game looked pretty good. But yeah, Brady behind centre.
All right,
Nothing
Sam.
to set the world on fire.
Sam, you've convinced me. I'm back off the Succaneers. They suck.
There you
Steelers and Broncos. Steelers came in and they were at home 26-21.
Correct.
We've got there.
Yep.
The Broncos start to 0-2 after we kind of...
If I'm selling any... we were sort of both had them pegged for second in the division, the Broncos, and... 2 big injuries there.
Yeah.
The first and the key one to Von Miller.
Yeah,
now
massive.
the second one is an injury to Drew Lock.
Yeah.
And then the third...
Cortland Sutton. ACL, probably done for the year.
I believe Philip Lindsay's on IR. Or not IR, but he's out at the moment.
He didn't play on the weekend.
So that's probably 3 of your, your top-end talents who you
three
got to rely on to
100%
win games who are gone. So the season might not go too well for the Broncos, in my
they're in a
opinion.
bit of trouble.
Not with the way the Chargers and Raiders look now as well. I think they look probably... up on what we were expecting.
The Broncos at the moment look like the worst team in the AFC West.
So I'm calling the Jets on them, and to be honest, I'm not going to take a lot out of that game for the Steelers. It was a win they should have got, and they got it, and they didn't look overly impressive in my opinion, but they got a win, and that's...
Yeah. Your mate, the Kentucky running back, called right off with the return of James Conner, obviously.
Well, he had like 4 carries,
Yeah,
so he was always going to call.
Yeah, it's not great for him.
No.
But hey, he's a young man. He's got a whole career ahead of him, and James Conner is a premium back, so I think they'd be happy with that.
Did you expect anything different from that?
No, not at all.
James Conner had 106 yards on the day as well, so not a bad day.
Not a bad day.
Pretty much missed the week before with a little bit of a niggle, and came back with 106 yards. And the wide receiver that I talked about, the one they got out of Notre Dame, he had an 84-yard touchdown as well. So, nice little one in his second game.
There and just disappeared with a rapid pace. Moving right along here, Eagles and Rams.
Whitewash.
1937.
1937.
My Rams.
Your Rams,
My Rams.
hottest team, getting around. Not quite.
Hottest team in LA.
Well, that's probably fair. Our mate, the Jersey Cartel, would be pretty flat. At the moment, I would have thought.
Yeah, his Eagles are not looking too good at the moment.
No.
I have serious concerns for the Eagles, and it's not just over my old friend Carson Wentz. It's over pretty much most most positional players.
Yeah.
They do not look good at any position.
No, they're
Their
struggling.
offensive line is trash.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz thinks he is an MVP of the league still, and he's trying to make plays happen when they're not there.
Yeah.
And it's happening at a more frequent rate than it used to happen to. So his intercepts are increasing.
Yep.
In his last 31 games as a starter, he has won 15. He has a less than 500 record.
Yeah, which is not good
It's
enough.
a damning stat.
It's not
And
good
let's not
enough.
forget, this is a battle of former same draft year picks number 1 and pick
One
number
and
2. Tyler Higbee went off as well for the Rams at wide receiver. He had a very nice game.
Yep.
And Goff himself had 20 completions from 27 attempts, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. So
Tell you
that's
what,
a very nice game.
His stock
from,
is
Goff.
rising.
Yeah.
I know the stock.
It looks like he's back after his year.
I
Yeah.
think so.
And maybe this is a good segue into the next game. But the Rams, like we had them probably finishing. Did you have them at the
I had
bottom
him
of the
last,
division?
I think. I had him last in that division. But as we said, that's
And
the
now
best division in football.
The tables are turning with the injuries. We'll get into the 49ers game here.
Yeah.
They have been reamed by injuries.
There was carnage on the weekend.
Right.
Absolute carnage. And I'm just looking at them now thinking, how are they going to win enough games to get them into even a top 3 spot in their division?
Yeah.
With
It's
the
a worry.
injuries.
It is a serious
Massive
worry.
concerns.
4 massive injuries out of that game. So they did beat the Jets 31-13 in New York.
But the cost
And
is
they've
going
got
to
the
be...
Giants this weekend again. Now, they also came out after the game. They're not happy about the turf.
Yeah,
in
there is a
MetLife
bit of
Stadium,
talk about
which
this.
I buy into that a little bit because I don't like the idea of them playing on turf as opposed to playing on grass. Like I wouldn't want to be running around on cleats playing on turf. It doesn't give the same way that grass does. I don't like it.
I'm a little
proof
bit
can be-
skeptical of this, only because there was no talk of it after week 1.
Yeah, well,
I
but
mean,
they didn't play on it in week 1.
No, but the Giants did.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the Giants.
But they still played on that same stadium,
Like
that same
MetLife's
turf.
turf.
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't
think-
like the idea of it though.
No, I agree, but I'm saying it's only if it was a really big issue, why weren't they talking about it?
That'd
last
be an
week?
interesting one to look up. Was wonder like whether there's a lot more injuries that happen on turf as opposed to grass. That would be interesting to find out.
That would be
actually.
a good little bit of research.
But obviously, for those that don't know at home, Blaze,
Yes.
the injuries were Solomon Thomas and Nick both have both done ACLs. They're probably
Small
both
bear.
done for the year.
Yeah.
Most at the running back after having like a 75-yard touchdown on like the
Absolute,
first or second
yeah.
play of the game. He's done his MCL. That'll be a 4 to 6 weeker.
At least.
And Garoppolo's got a high ankle sprain.
And I think Kittle missed as well with that ankle sprain
Kittle was
too.
already out,
Yeah, and
Sherman's on the
Sherman's
IR.
on the IR as well.
So,
But the most important thing that came out of this game, Blaze,
we're going to
Oh,
jump. Okay.
The crowning
Okay,
moment. Here it
here we
is.
go.
Slammers guarantees. Now, those of you who remember at home, the guarantee was San Fran, Buffalo, Green Bay, and Baltimore. Now, I had $50 on that at $3.33 on Sportsbet, and that's $166.79 return.
And you've got to love that.
You gotta love that.
I
So
think if
after
you-
the $50 loss in week 1, we're at $66.79 profit on the year.
That's good. That's
It's a
good.
free bet for next week. Slammers
Free bet
guarantee.
for next
That's
week.
right.
And $16 to go out and have a meal with.
And if you want to get in on the fun with the Slammers guarantee, we're going to get to the best bet shortly, which didn't fare quite as positively. But always check out that preview show. So
Yeah.
our review show here is obviously the resultant. The preview show is going to have Slammers guarantee every week. So if you like
and I've
that,
got a doozy coming up for this weekend.
if you like that kind of content, if you're a betting punter man,
If you're a betting enthusiast,
that's
and
right. Just
who
keep
studies
checking
the
it out.
arts.
Always do it responsibly, of course. But we've got some hot tips coming all the time.
Well, it would be irresponsible not to get on Slammers guarantee.
At this point, I know the sample
Shooting
size.
50% at the moment.
The sample size remains smallish,
Yeah.
but
But we are shooting profit.
that's
Yeah.
right.
We're in the profit.
And
That's
us-
all that
and
matters.
Us Officeworks employees love profit.
profit margin.
And I'm looking at being two out of 3 after this next weekend.
Profit margin is important. Moving into what the Dolphins and Bills kind of did there. An interesting game. We did touch on it slightly in good call, bad call there. Bills just getting over the line by a field goal, 31-28.
Once again,
Yes.
I think the same as last week, the Bills game. The score is doing the Dolphins favours here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a game that was dominated by the Bills.
Yep.
Bills looked to have it in control of the game. Josh Allen played not perfectly, but,
But he
played.
was red
He had a
hot.
great game.
I think the stats we've got there are 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, and I think he had 3 huge ones to Diggs, who was
Yep.
It was a
150.
monster.
153 yards and 1
Yeah.
touchdown to
53
Diggs
yards.
there.
Diggs was a monster.
Mm.
And he's probably what we'll get to in the next game, but he has been unreal. The
Yep.
connection with the Allen and Diggs have formed.
After a
within
short time with a
2
very
weeks.
short in
I think
pre-season.
it's netted about 230 yards across the 2 games.
Yeah. They'd be ecstatic.
Well, the
with that.
Vikings would be pretty flat about it, wouldn't they?
Exactly. The flip side of that hurts bad. Mike Gesicki.
Yep, your guy.
Yeah,
I
my boy
I put
Mike
those stats up
Gesicki.
there for you.
You looked after me with that one.
Yeah.
130 yards in the tub.
Yeah.
He looks really,
and
really
had
nice.
one very nice one-handed touchdown.
Yes, a very nice
Sorry,
move.
one-handed reception.
As we
that
like
was.
to call him down here, Gesicki.
All right.
Well, that's what I'm working with anyway.
Okay.
It's not great.
Probably scratch the Wii from that.
Yeah, I was going to say, get that
Okay.
wee away.
All right, I'll run that one solo. I'm quite happy with Gesicki. I think, like you say, Schnars, score may be flattering. For the time being, probably enough in there to keep Fitztragic in.
The other
But,
thing here is, like, you have to take note of the fact the Bills are a very cold weather team, and they had to come down into Miami and play this
yes.
one.
Good
and
call.
that always makes that's why this one is often an upset one for mine. When I see a cold weather team go into a real hot weather place, and obviously sometimes that can upset the balance and it makes it harder to win on the road. So that win on the road shouldn't be understated there. And I
You've
think
got to
the
know your
Bills-
geography of America to understand that the level that Slam is thinking
Oh,
at here.
Yeah.
And you can't understate it either. I think
Sorry, so the Bills are right up the north, right next to Canada, and Miami are right down the bottom,
Yeah.
next to Cuba.
And it does make a massive difference. The weather in the NFL, if you're new to it, and I know a lot of the boys that are getting around us lately are new to the game and are
Yeah.
trying to follow along. Weather, massive.
Yeah.
You can't. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but you can't understate the fact, the difference
Especially
that makes.
Josh
These are
Allen's
not,
a Wyoming
yeah, these
boy
are not
too.
little trips against,
No.
you're not flying from Perth to Melbourne where the only difference is the time zone.
Yeah, correct. Massive differences in climate and condition. Colts Vikings in a
Ooh.
game that was my best bet, and I guess I probably have to put the hat on.
Oh, the dunce hat.
I probably have to put the hat on.
How did best bet go in week 1?
Came up short.
If you're a smart man, you're back against the best bet.
Jeepers.
Came up short on that one too. But I think, for clarification purposes here, the best bet, as we've always said, is a roughie
Yes,
of
we're looking
sorts
for-
that has
we're looking
good
for
value.
value.
So we're not expecting 100% like the guarantee.
And
But
I'll chub you out here, Blaze. Kirk let you down.
chop me out
Oh.
100%.
He was terrible.
I think you've let him well. Let's let the big guy go here. Kirk Cousins day out against the Colts Schnars. Anything to say?
I'm going to have a big sip.
I had to meditate. I had to sit there, meditate for half an hour to dispel the anger that I felt for someone who we proclaimed to be the benchmark for a good quarterback
Yep.
in this league.
Yep.
He has gone out there in week 2 after losing in week 1
And-
to cheese man Aaron Rodgers, and he's come out
Jesus.
pass rating. What was it, like 17.9?
It was
And it was
7%.
tracking at 0 in the third quarter. 3 interceptions.
We stuck our neck out
No
for him, too.
touchdowns.
We stuck our neck out for that,
We
man.
pumped your tyres up. And what have you done? You've come back here.
Spat in our face.
You've spat all over us.
Spat in our face!
Our faces, our parents' faces, even our sponsors' faces.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jersey Cartel personally reached out to us and said, what the hell was going on with Kirk Cousins on Sunday?
He
11
said,
for 26.
Stars, your man.
Your
man. Your man.
He said he dead your man. That
And I
can't-
tell you what, if Kurt comes out and he does that one more time, here's the contract, Kurt! You're on notice!
I think that, I mean, if that's not going to rev you up, I don't know what, for the life of me, I can't remember the Vikings coach off the top of my head. Zimmerman. If he's not going to pump you up, Kirk, take a leaf out of the book of the Bandwagon Fan there, because that is just not good enough.
Call me at any time of the day and I'll rev you up.
Those numbers aren't good enough.
Because I'm sick of it, Kirk.
11 of 26, no touchdowns, 3 picks.
Much maligned
Awful
character
day.
anyway. You've got to look after
Do you
him.
know what
all
ruined
day.
him? That win against the Saints in the postseason
Yeah,
last year.
it's got a
It's-
water since then. 0-3 since then.
And we touched on it.
Hasn't
in
won a game.
We touched on it in good call, bad call. If
Do you
they
want
look at 0-3 next week,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
shizen.
Do you want an interesting stat here from the Minnesota Vikings?
Always do.
So all-time Minnesota Vikings are 0-11 playing against the Colts away from home. So that's even dating back to the days of the Baltimore Colts before they moved to Indianapolis. Minnesota have never travelled to Baltimore Colts or the Indianapolis Colts and come away with a win.
That would have been great to know before the best bet last
They
week.
would-
eh?
Have
0
to be the
for
worst
11.
type of Viking getting around.
Yeah,
But the
that's
thing
true.
here is, so those two teams would play each other once every 4 years because of the opposite things, and then that means the Vikings would only ever go and play in Indianapolis or Baltimore once every 8 years. So 8 times 11,
88.
there you go,
Nearly a decade.
That's
or
great.
a century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Kurt's
mate.
rattled me.
He's just The big guy is easily rattled, but Kirk Cousins gets under his skin, and I can understand that. I'm pretty flat about having to wear this stupid bloody hat based on his pathetic performance.
But that is just bizarre, isn't it? They've never gone on the road and beaten the Colts.
It's fantastic from his
I can't believe I've gaffed that one up a decade. 88.
Yeah.
That is a gaff.
8.8 decades.
And you
I
have
know,
to,
now, we've spent a lot of this time just downplaying the Vikings. The Colts had an all right day, but Jonathan Taylor, the rookie, had his first 100-yard game, 101 yards on the ground.
they had to bounce back after
They
week
did.
one, and I
Pathetic
think
week one.
they did everything they had to there, getting up by 17, a really comprehensive
killed 'em.
performance.
Absolutely killed
And
'em.
I don't think that scoreline is flattering anybody.
No.
I think they were every bit as good as
And-
it suggests. 28-11, if you haven't
If
already
the
caught that.
Colts lost that game, they might have been left a bit red-faced there after going out and signing Phillip Rivers when
Yes.
we saw how Cam Newton played on the weekend,
Yes.
where would have been a...
Because they didn't want a piece of Cam.
Yep.
No, they did not.
They had every chance to get him. And
Well, everyone did.
well, yeah,
So,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Colts, a good win for Phillip. It's good to see him playing some good football.
Yep.
But you can't really give them. It can't be a high and mighty win.
No,
when
moment.
Over the
Kirk
lowly
goes out
Vikings.
there and delivers utter trash.
Yep. I mean, as we
Made Nathan Peterman look good.
to take a leaf.
Nathan Peterman rang me up and says, "Hey, did you see my boy Kurt? Yeah, I spoke to him midweek. And did you hear the great news? Mariota's injured, and I'm the second stringer now. If Derek goes down, I'm in. Imagine me and Kirk on the same field. We could have a passer rating of 40 between us. How fun would that be, football fans?
Well, look out. If the Vikings play the Raiders and Derek Carr gets injured,
Kirk,
take that one.
I'm on to you.
All right, I think that's all we need to be saying about Vikings and Kirk's boys there.
Into the Packers.
Into the Packers, probably the flip side of that division at the moment. The Packers are exceeding all expectation. A big
Well, not
win-
mine. I had them win in the division.
Yeah, Slam did.
Well, yes, but I think maybe the way they've
Just
been going,
another one I got right.
the way they've been going about it so far has been really impressive. I think Aaron Rodgers is looking really, really good. Aaron Jones, after a quiet first week,
Massive day.
you did call
put
it
the
Chuck.
shades on?
You did call it Chuck.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due. You said Aaron Jones might have a good day. He did. He had a fantastic day. 42-21 the margin there.
Yep.
And
Chuck
everyone's,
me the right, Blaze. I got heaps of stats on this one.
everyone's pretty happy down in Cheeseland. Chuck it away.
Chuck
Take
it away, Chucky.
Chuckles. Yes.
Gotcha. So, another one of the all-time stats that I've pulled out of the bag of tricks here. 24-3 are the Packers against the Lions at home since we were born.
1994 for those playing at home.
24-3. Now, Aaron
Same
Jones.
year Robert Kraft bought the Patriots, I reckon.
Really?
Wow. Don't see how that's relevant. Now, Aaron Jones, 168 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and he was going at 9.3 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's
It's almost
large.
a first down a carry.
That's good
My
numbers.
God.
Every time-
9.3 yards a carry.
You haven't seen
9.3 yards a carry.
We
The
haven't seen-
greatest statistics of all. So the greatest players of all time, their career yards per attempt, like the very best, the cream of the crop, your Jim Browns, those sorts, they're about 5.5, 5.4.
so it's a good day.
He went at 9.3 yards a carry on the weekend.
It's a happy old
Doesn't
day.
say much for Detroit's defense. But the other thing here, Detroit were up 14-3 in the second quarter. They lost 42-21.
I didn't know
They
that.
gaffed it in week 1 too, didn't they?
Yeah, that's
So that means from that point on, Blaze, they got outscored 39-7.
there's a rapid trend, or a bit of a movement you could call it, that's saying that Matt Patricia might be the worst coach in the NFL.
No, that's Adam Gase
Yeah.
of the Jets.
Well,
Yeah.
Adam Gase might be hamstrung in a sense. I don't think he's any good. Don't get me wrong, but I think
No, Patricia came in as a defensive specialist because he was the defense coach.
Yeah, not a lot of defensive specialty giving up 42 points.
no.
It sort of makes you think back and maybe second guess how much emphasis on the defensive plays was put in Bill Belichick's hands.
Yes, well.
Yes,
exactly.
well that's
the other thing is that everyone that's an assistant at New England and goes and has a job somewhere else, even like when Josh McDaniels got the head job in Denver for a few years, it goes poorly pretty much every time. The only one at the moment that I can think of that's gone well at all is Brian Flores down in Miami.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Hey,
It's
I think
not even going that well.
No, but it's
yet.
going okay. Not yet, but
yet.
yeah.
it's trending in the right direction at least. Whereas I think the Lions, everyone here would probably agree,
That was your game of the week as well, Charles.
they've kind of
High scoring game.
High
That's what
scoring
the fans
game.
want to see.
yeah, and we want to see
If
scoring.
you're a casual out there, you don't want to watch the Bears play.
No, you definitely don't. We'll get to them shortly. Hey, speaking of high scoring,
This was a serious game.
79 points put up between the Cowboys and Falcons this week. Cowboys coming away 40-39 with an onside kick.
What I
Yeah,
would like
this
to
is the biggest gaff of the entire
Very-
weekend.
Yeah.
2020 has been a weird year. And it's good to see one thing's remained consistent.
What's that?
And that is the Atlanta Falcons know how to lose a game.
That's
when they
can't
unlosable.
lose.
That's unlosable.
Oh,
They've got it down to a
my
fine
word.
art.
Does Dan Quinn need the clown hat?
Yes,
He needs
100%.
He needs the clown hat.
You know who else need the clown hat? Those 4 on the field
Yeah.
that just watched
Yeah.
the ball trickle 5 yards and just said, we can't touch it till it gets to the halfway point. No, you can touch it.
Yes.
Jump on the ball.
So for those of you who don't understand onside kicks or how it works, the kicking team must kick the ball 10 yards before they're allowed to touch it. The Falcons could have touched it after 1 yard had they wanted to. Now this ball was moving very slowly, and all the Falcons players from 5 yards in just watched it, and waited for Dallas to jump on it as soon as it got to 10 yards. Mind-blowing.
That's why
Mind-blowing.
they've got that. They've got it down to a fine art.
Oh,
Yeah.
if there was any kind of
Nobody
concern
else could have
about
lost that game.
mob influence and match fixing, they'd be giving him
Yeah.
a call because there was something. There was.
I've
it's
only seen one other team have stuff ups like that, and it's the Chiefs before Patrick Mahomes in the postseason.
That you're gonna
everything comes back around
go
eventually.
full
But
circle.
the
Everyone
Falcons
holds it back
were
around.
pathetic, and I'm going to take a hot take right here, fellas.
Hot take it.
Julio Jones, he
Say
might
it.
have fallen off a cliff.
Oh,
Last 2 weeks been pathetic. Hasn't had a touchdown in 4 games. Dropped some. I almost dropped an F-bomb there, but
Yeah,
he
he did.
dropped some easy catches.
He wouldn't have caught that F-bomb either.
No.
Yeah, he
So-
he has looked trash, but I'll give you one shining glimmer of light, Falcons fans, and it gives me great pleasure to say it. Calvin Ridley has been effing sick. 109 yards, 2 scores again. He is on fire.
Yeah.
My breakout player, gun.
credit where credit's due, Chucky. You called that off the rip, and
Yeah.
it is really. I mean, a lot of your breakout players across the league are looking.
I know.
They're looking sneaky.
I'm coming
good.
up absolute trumps. The only one that's not working for me is the kid out of Cincinnati that like Sizey gave me heaps of grief about. But you
John
know,
Ross?
I can't get them all right.
John Ross. that's
John
right.
Ross, Terrence Ross. Don't want any other Rosses.
No, we don't want any Rosses.
But there's no one that I've got more spot on than Calvin Ridley. He is sick.
he looks fantastic. Hey, Cowboys, you got any more faith in Dak after the weekend, Schnazi? Or
I don't think my issue was never with Dak.
yeah,
Oh, mine is.
You also rated. We also all rated Wentz as a better quarterback
we
than
did.
Dak,
we
which
did.
you know, come week 8, we could all be doing a 180-degree turn on.
I'm not.
That's
My
okay.
Look
issue
at the
with the
weapons.
Cowboys. My issue with the Cowboys is their defense.
It remains
Yeah.
their defense, correct?
But the Falcons' defense is also terrible here.
Oh.
That must be said. This whole game was all about offense. And the Cowboys had like 3 fumbles in the first quarter, which is why the Falcons got out to such a massive lead. Like they were up 29-10 at the half
Yeah.
and then lost 40-39. They're also up by 10 points with 3.5 minutes to go and managed to botch this one.
Once again, unlosable.
Yeah.
Unlosable. Hey, Bears Giants in something you could probably describe
Absolute
as
snoozer.
unwatchable.
Mm.
The Bears prevail 17-13, crashed back down to earth. Trubisky after that big last quarter didn't really look too much chop.
The only thing of note to take out of this game is that Saquon's year is done. He's
Yeah.
done his ACL, and that's the worst news for the Giants and for Schnars and his Giants top 10 offense.
It's really quite sad.
Giants here once again. New York might be the worst. New York
Buffalo
City
are in
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
New York
yeah.
City.
Change
New York.
it.
Very
Yeah,
bull-
nice.
might
Very
be
well
the
done.
worst. might hold the worst 2 football teams.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
atrocious.
Oh,
They could combine both those teams and probably only go 8-0.
Yeah, true.
Like, it's
true.
just
There's
a-
not enough talent in the whole.
It's just a joke,
both
especially if
rosters.
you look at injuries and whatnot now. With Saquon, I mean, it's just...
And I think
This was a real game of 2 halves as well. So the Bears were up 17-0 at the half, and then didn't score again, and the Giants put on 13 pathetic points in the second half. Like,
the worst part about
What
all
a
of this
trash
is
game.
the Bears are now 2-0.
yeah, I know.
There's been 2
It's
bear...
disgusting.
There's been 2 bear caves. As we
The
like,
rave cave?
as we like to call
The
them.
Bears in
Yeah.
the Rave Cave.
It's
God, yeah. There's-
Shout out to
yeah.
Bear.
I don't like it at all.
your boy.
I don't like it at all.
I don't like talking about him too much,
So
so
let's
probably
keep past
moving on. Cardinals against the Washington football
Football
team.
Slammers, game of the week.
Did what they had to do, 30-15.
Yeah.
As you called, Chucky, that D-line at Washington continues to look pretty intimidating.
That's true.
They looked all right, but, you know, the Cardinals
Did
and those
not
weapons
phase Kyler.
No.
it didn't, and they remain a bit too hot. to
Yeah,
handle.
my guy, Kyler Murray, 286 yards in the air and 67 on the ground for a total of 3 touchdowns on the day. I think it was 1 through the air and 2 on the ground.
Yep.
And Kenyon Drake had 86 yards rushing as well. So They are looking good on offense,
Yeah.
and even they've kept Washington to 15, which is it's Washington.
The
but
Nukes
still.
didn't have a huge game, but still had 80.
Yeah.
No, so all 4 wide receivers there for Arizona. That's Hop, Kirk, Larry, and Andy Isabella all had over 50 yards. They were all between
Even
about 50 and
Very
75
well shared
yards.
out.
Yeah,
Very well
all about
shared out.
8 receptions each. So yeah, that offense is deadly.
I think we remain pretty hot in the Cardinals at the
I
moment.
think
They look pretty.
The biggest
pretty
question
good.
It's
mark we
probably
had in
it's
the
my best take of
preseason-
the year
The be-
between that and Calvin Ridley.
the what we said about the Cardinals at the start of the year was our question mark was not over their offense, it was their defense. And so far, their defense has held up pretty well. What did you give up? 15 against Washington, and was it 20 against the Niners last week?
Yeah, something like that.
So that defense is holding up pretty well, led by Chandler Jones.
And Patrick Peterson, yeah.
So kudos to them. And that's probably all we have to say about that because it's Washington football team, your boy Chase Young had another sack.
Yep.
He is an absolute squad of men on his own, as Blaze loves to call him.
He's a mean dude, and I think he's going to terrorize quarterbacks and offensive lines for many years to come.
Many a year to come.
He's big ticket. We've said it We said it to death.
I'd go
at
and
this
watch
point.
a game just for him.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And if you want to watch a highlight package, check out.
There's worse ones you could watch.
100%. That's all that needs to be said there. Hey, Baltimore Ravens just keep on rolling, baby.
Absolutely.
33-16 over the Texans, looking really good and doing it in different ways now. I think Mark Andrews, the spread. Mark Andrews was a bit more quiet.
Yeah, didn't do a lot on the weekend
didn't
at
do
all.
a lot reception?
One reception, I think, for about 13.
I think they put a conscious effort in him, the Texans, though, to lock down
Yeah.
Andrews. And Lamar goes, well, if you're going to lock him down, I've got all my other threats out there.
Yeah.
Like Brown didn't have a huge game, but he still was serviceable.
Ingram had a bit of a bounce back game. Here as well.
Ingram was good.
Had a 30-yard touchdown.
His little, I
think
think he
fourth
would
and one.
Did you like his celebration
Wildcat.
when he went into the touchdown?
Yeah, he went full dojo.
He was dojoing the Texan.
I think he's been watching the new Cobra Kai thing on Netflix.
Oh, shout out! Bit of pop culture references coming
Netflix,
from
you
you,
want to go on
Chucky.
board with a sponsor.
Look out for the shout out. David Johnson came crashing back down to earth a little bit.
Yep.
Wasn't too flash, but
Texans
I mean,
have had a rough start to the season, though. You got the best 2 teams in football.
oh yeah, 100%. It's very hard to
So
hold
don't,
anything.
don't
against
write
them.
the Texans off
No.
just yet. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of the Texans in both of these games
Yeah.
just to show they're a bit of
16
shape.
points isn't a lot, and what they have in the last one, 21-ish, but
Yeah.
a lot of them were in junk time.
And they made
But-
the playoffs last year, so you would
Yeah.
expect a little bit more.
Yeah, but I wouldn't nobody would have tipped them to beat the Ravens or the Chiefs, though, would they?
No.
So if you're a Texans fan at home, don't get too upset over this. A dream start for you here would have been to start 1-1, 0-2 here against those 2 teams. Don't fall out of the wagon yet. Interesting to note here, though, Baltimore have won their last 5 regular season games by 16 plus points.
Yeah.
So they're winning by more than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's rolling.
And what are they? 14-0.
14 straight regular season games.
games.
Now the question mark remains, obviously.
Yeah, the
But-
postseason.
There's nothing they can do about that right now. All they have
No.
to do is keep beating whatever's put in front of them.
They
and
look
that's
better
what
than
they're
coming
last
up.
year, though. They
They
look
do.
better than last year.
They do. That can't be understated. Seahawks Patriots in a
Oh, boy,
Yeah.
oh, boy.
in a bit of a surprise game for how good it was.
What a game.
Yeah,
I
really.
watched this one.
Yep.
I quite enjoyed myself.
That's
It was just a,
That's good.
that's
to know.
good.
I'm happy for you.
it was an offensive
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
masterclass by both. So,
I couldn't have been more wrong about Cam.
no, you couldn't have been.
Nah.
And I'm glad you've admitted that because
Yeah, no.
I would have absolutely crucified you and hung you
Look,
on
that's
the
what this show's about. We're happy to give you the hot take, but when we're wrong, we'll tell you we're wrong. And I was wrong here, and I was wrong about the Patriots as a whole. And I think an interesting one here, I think there was a lot of thing about, was it Tom or was it Bill? And at the moment,
It's looking Bill.
it's looking Bill.
It's looking Bill. Very hard to argue.
In any other game, everyone would be coming out with hot takes. Cam Newton, Smokey for MVP.
yeah.
But he
I
was
won't
just
go that far.
over. His performance was huge.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
Was it 389 yards?
But was he the best quarterback on the field?
No, so that's what I was
no, he
getting
wasn't.
at.
Yeah.
He was overshadowed by the MVP favourite,
Yeah, 100%.
Russell Wilson, who has 9 touchdowns on the year. And listen to this, only 11 incomplete passes on the year.
Yeah, see, that's
Ridiculous.
insanity, isn't it?
He absolutely balled out. 288 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5 different receivers caught touchdowns too.
Yeah.
It was spread the load. Chris Carson was pretty good out of the
Yeah, he
backfield
was.
too.
He was.
Should be noted here as well, Russell Wilson is 17-3 in prime time games.
Yeah, that's a man.
17-3.
Mr. Prime
He
Time.
is the opposite of Kirk Cousins.
Yes, he's
Don't get me started.
But yeah,
Don't
but
get him
Cam
going
had
again.
397 yards in the air.
which is
Opposite. Well, last week we talked about his rushing yards.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's showing he's still got it going both ways, and I think Cam's body has been the question mark for a few years. He looks every bit as strong
Oh,
as
looks
he
fresh
as he has in a long
A
time.
year off would do that to you.
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely. But
100%.
It's not working for Gronk though.
No, when this,
But Cam had 11 rush attempts on the weekend for 47 yards, whereas Sonny Michel only had the 7 for 19
and James
yards.
White was out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's some...
Condolences to James White and his family.
100%. 100%. It's really, really quite sad.
Both
I
of his
think,
both parents died in a car crash.
I
one
know,
was
was it
confirmed,
one?
one was in
One
serious.
was in
I know his
serious
father
condition.
sadly passed away. I think his mum was
So
in
our
critical care.
condolences there from Slim Sam and the Bandwagon Fan.
Absolutely.
That interception that Russell did throw
Yes.
really wasn't an interception. It was more of a drop. Maybe slightly behind, but more of a drop from Greg Olsen. But
Yep.
McCourty intercepted it, took it to the house, and he
and
shouted,
then shouted out
Yeah.
2-8.
which was good.
Which was a really nice touch, and I think we shared it on our social media in terms of just those sports narratives, which is what we keep coming back for. We love sport, we love the NFL, and we love the stats, but I think the overarching narratives are always going to be
Nothing better than a good
Yeah.
sports story.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really touching way to kind of to close that game out. I think the Seahawks did what they had to do, 35-30. I'd be tuning into the Patriots if you get a chance.
Just
They'd be
probably a
right.
shout out as well to
Sadly.
Edelman. Career high reception.
Yeah,
Oh,
massive
yeah.
day, true,
Yep.
yeah.
Can't probably skip over that one. He's playing with a quarterback who isn't the GOAT, and
Yeah.
he's got his all-time
And a few
receiving
people were
yards.
trying to move Edelman on as well.
Yep, was it
So-
178, 179,
168 yards?
168
Something in that
yards.
realm.
Big
Yep.
day, 4 huge catches.
That
Yeah.
layout, oh
Yeah.
my god, that was nice.
Knows a thing or two about a big catch at a big moment, too.
Yeah, he does. He's
Knows
got a
how
bit of
to drop one
experience.
as well last year.
True. Hey,
Into the upset of the week, I think, here,
upset
Blaze.
of the week, 100%. I know
No one saw this coming.
a bit of coin went into the sports bet coffers today because the Raiders beat the Saints 34-24 in an upset that we kind of just didn't see coming whatsoever.
Although I think actually last week I said this one might be closer than anticipated, and it was even closer than I anticipated because they won.
It's quite true, my friend. Hey, I think the stock exchange from a few episodes back, we
Yes,
touched on
yes.
Darren Waller.
Yeah, we did.
He had a really nice game today.
Very
Chuck.
nice game. 103 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yep.
And looked the part.
Really a focal point. I think everything
Looked the part of a top 5 tight end.
He did. He looked really, really good. In terms of just being a flow player for them, I think there was a couple of big plays, but for the most part, he's moving the chains for him.
He's
and
their most explosive weapon right
Yeah,
now.
100%.
Between him and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Jacobs.
But
and-
Carr
Yeah.
looks back to his, was it 2016, 2017 best before the
when he had
ACL
Amari
injury?
Cooper.
Yes,
Yeah.
before the ACL when they were tied for the division with Kansas City. He looks almost back to that. 282 yards today, 3 touchdowns. Looked
My
very nice.
one gripe with week 2 is the Chargers losing, because otherwise all the teams in new home stadiums
Yes.
would have won
True.
their opening game.
True.
And I like that from Derek Carr. When they won today, went back into the change rooms and signed a signature.
I like
first
that.
win.
Again,
Yeah.
sports narrative, that's a really nice
There was
touch.
something I saw today that was, I think, on teams relocating or moving to new stadiums. In the last 10 games, they're 7-3 in home openers.
It's going to be a hard place to win at the Death Star.
I love that whole, I mean,
Yeah,
pop culture.
black hole turned into the Death Star sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, the black stadium is very, out there. No one else has got an all black stadium.
No.
But you say they've also got a giant Olympic torch thing inside the stadium that lights up. Like
Yeah,
they lit
right.
it on fire at the start of the game.
I didn't see that.
I'm not sure if it was real
I'll have to-
fire or fake, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
Probably real, given
But
there's
it's
no fans at the
massive.
moment.
It
Yeah,
is
I can-
massive.
probably afford to.
Like
but,
it goes from the bottom deck, almost up to the top.
I'm going to have to check it out, and I think
Yeah.
sports fans...
Worth having a look at.
It sounds
I think it's
They had an
Allegiant,
Instagram
Allegiant
page.
Stadium
You'd
if
be
you want to have a
following
look.
it.
If Allegiant Stadium had an Instagram page, I'd be following it.
You'd be following the Death Star.
Yeah.
I love
But
that.
I've been looking in all the wrong places.
Very good from you.
Very, very good. To round out the review show for the evening...
Once again, going to wind it back a little bit there.
Okay, sorry.
Saints. Last week, I was a little bit skeptical.
You were. I'll
Drew
give you that.
Brees.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
said he did
I don't
not
mind
play
this.
very well, and
I don't-
Kamara played well.
I don't
But at
mind
the
this.
same time, you were very glowing of their defense against the Bucks.
And their defense got torched today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
But Drew Brees, once again, didn't have the best game. His
No.
stats were padded a little bit towards the end. I think he
Yeah.
was only going at 50% completion for 3 quarters.
Had a couple of really bad misses, Schnars.
Yeah, had an interception as well.
I
Yeah.
saw
which
a
is
little bit of
horrible.
this one. I'll tell you where this game turned. So they were up, I think it was 17, maybe 17-14 or 17-7 late in the second half there, and the Saints had the ball. He threw a very bad pick over the middle of the field, which they then turned into point. They turned into a third down and goal touchdown to get it 17-14, and then they went into the half tied 17 all. Yeah. And then after the half, the Saints really had nothing going on. It felt like it sucked all the life out of them that halftime and the way they ended that first half.
They started well too, rushing the ball. Kamara got the first touchdown. He was on good, had 40 yards in the first quarter. I think I hit you boys up because it's like my multi. But all of a sudden, like, they just stopped going through Kamara, put the ball in Drew's hands, and it
went to water. With no Michael Thomas as well, I think.
Yes, that was very
probably
telling.
hurt them and us more than we probably anticipated.
Massively, yeah.
So it's almost like we're not calling Drew Brees out yet, but it's watch this space. If he doesn't,
absolutely, he might find himself in a good call, bad call.
Yes, and you know who might be feeling a bit good about themselves?
What's that?
Crab legs.
Crab legs.
Well,
he's just sitting there waiting.
He's waiting for Sean Payton to tap Drew Brees on the shoulder and go, "Hey mate, I think you've got a mystery injury. Mind giving it a few weeks?"
He's the heir apparent.
There you go.
Famous Jameis.
I'm not sure I'd be handing over the keys to the Porsche 2 yet, but
no,
neither. It's more of a watch this space.
Watch this space for sure. But I think again, Michael Thomas, how important is he to that whole machine down there?
Most important player.
Yeah. So I like that, Schnazzy. Watch this space. We don't want to retire. I think
I'll give you back the show now.
No, that's okay, mate. And I don't mind you backpedaling for something like that because that really is quite good value. And while we're on the topic, Emmanuel Sanders.
Yes.
I mean,
no
Michael Thomas.
No Emmanuel Sanders.
You're expected to stand up in that situation, and
he's not a wide receiver one.
We don't need to harp on it too much, but he just didn't show enough.
Let's get into the last game of the round, Blaze, and wrap this show up.
I would have loved to. The Chiefs and the Chargers, in probably the game of the week. I mean, there's a few really good ones in there, but this went to OT. This was back and forth. This had sports narratives coming out the wazoo.
Yes. I got up and watched this one, Blaze, and we did not start well.
No, we didn't.
And Justin
Probably
Herbert
wouldn't have needed to wake up early to watch this one. Just turn on the second half, and you would have caught all the Chiefs action.
Yeah, true. But yes, Justin Herbert played very, very nicely.
Did you expect to turn on the TV and see Justin?
No, I did not. I heard the news the same time everybody else did. Obviously, unless you were sleeping. But
which would be reasonable.
So it was because it was only a 6 o'clock start. But they looked very good at the start. It did have me a little bit nervy, but the Chiefs find a way to do it. As we spoke about off air before, Schnars, I think the Chiefs played about C to C- game, and the Chargers played probably an A- to B+ game, and the Chiefs still found a way to get it done, which is indicative of how good the Chiefs are.
I think this comes back to the point. It's almost like the reverse of the point I said last week. It's like if the Chiefs are up 14-7, it's more than really one score against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs managed to just sort of hang in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And knowing you're only down one score, and you got Mahomes,
and then you get that interception that we spoke about earlier,
and that was the turning point in this game.
100%.
From watching this game or watching the replay, you could just feel the momentum shift as soon as that touchdown was thrown. He had the first down, elected to go for it, and you just saw Mahomes on the sideline with a little cheeky grin going, boys, we're in here.
Yeah, it's our time.
I mean, speaking on the same, a similar kind of plane of thought, 3rd and 20.
Yeah.
You don't really you don't really have any right to be expected
to rush up the guts.
Well, even as a supporter, me and you shouldn't be watching that and think, we'll be right.
No. He has the highest completion percentage of anybody on plus 15-yard attempts on 3rd down. It's just ridiculous.
It's just a joke.
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, that touchdown he threw to Tyreek Hill, amazing.
58 yards.
An amazing highlight.
Running hard right, jump throw, ridiculous.
But through contact.
Yeah.
Through contact.
Absolutely. But dropping back on 3rd and 20... And this was at the point where we still needed a field goal just to tie the game. They needed 20 yards.
Tuck and run.
So I'm thinking at best, we try and take a 10-yard underneath route, get 10 yards, get within field goal range, and just keep the field goal and send it into overtime. And the dude has the cojones to run 21 yards up the middle. And there was a defender coming right at him with 2 yards to go. And most quarterbacks would just slide down, take the two. Not Pat. Pat jerks left, takes the hit, and barrels over for the first yard.
Were you at all worried? Like, what were your initial thoughts at halftime? Because they were shocking in the first half. Tyreek didn't have.
I'm never worried with the Chiefs because they just have the ability to score so quickly. So there's some stats that I wrote down here. The Chiefs, the last 6 times they've trailed by 10 points or more to any team, have won.
Yep,
it's just a ridiculous stat.
Remarkable. That's huge.
So it's like what? Like, I'm not saying by any means don't go out and try and get more than 10 points in front of the Chiefs, but like it's just like
get 9.
It's just bizarre. Like, what do you do?
Games.
Like, there's no like. It's just Yeah, but you should also know the Chiefs are the Chargers' daddy.
Yeah.
Lately, like in the last 13 games, the Chargers are 1-12 against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Not to mention, speaking of daddies, Pat is the daddy of the AFC West. He is 13-1 in the AFC West
He's
all time.
Daddy.
He's a man.
It's ridiculous. Like, he didn't play well on the weekend. He had 302 yards and 2 touchdowns and rushed for 54 yards. I don't know what to do.
The man's a genius.
You'd want to hope they have bad 4 quarters.
We'll be black and blue in the face by the time we finish about
I think
talking
even
about
if they have bad quarters or like if they're not playing too well, mate, Buckter.
Yeah.
Buckter. I can't say it properly.
Butker. Yeah.
Mate, that sequence of him hitting the 53-yarder,
Then the 58.
with that ball
the penalty.
start, so then you go back 5 yards.
58, calls the timeout.
And then has to hit another 58-yarder.
3 from 50, and he hit a 58 one during the game.
He'd already
as well.
hit a 58-yarder.
So he was technically 4 from 4 from 50
Charles,
plus
he
yards.
had to hit the game winner 3 times.
Are you kidding me?
It's ridiculous.
He had to hit the
Ice
game
in
winner
his
3
veins.
times.
He is D'Angelo Russell.
That's ice cold. That is ice cold.
That probably, Paddy Mahomes must feel your heart just knowing that he's there. But
Yeah,
then also
100%.
having Butker on the sidelines as well. You just know that if you're going to have it from 60 yards, I would almost say he would make that 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, he was
100%.
clearing them easily. It's ridiculous.
I
At the
couldn't.
moment, he's almost the best kicker in football.
Well, there's a couple of good kickers getting around, but
Still, 58 yards is a monster.
and to do it twice
Yeah.
on the back of a 53.
The Cowboys kicker Colquitt? No, who's the Cowboys
Colquitt was
kicker?
Can't
Sure.
remember. You
Cowboys-
Justin Tucker's the Baltimore
Justin
kicker.
Tucker is
Justin
Baltimore.
Tucker is. Also, the Cowboys kicker pretty much won them the game as well.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
But there is, those are probably the 3 top kickers. But, it just
I
must
think
fill
this
your
was.
confidence.
I think he was the only person to ever hit like 2 58-yarders in the game since Greg Zuerlein. I think
Right.
he did it earlier, about 5 years ago. I think.
Okay.
So yeah, interesting.
But,
I mean, it was really, what you're saying is correct. Having a safety net like that, when you've got a nuclear weapon at quarterback already, and then you've got his fleet of absolute jet receivers, and obviously Travis Kelce.
and then have a kicker that can kick it from anywhere.
Where do you have faith in whatever gets thrown at
I'm
you?
never
the
worried.
one thing we probably come back to where the Chargers looked good in this game was with Ingram and Bosa, and they got a lot of hits on
did.
Mahomes. Didn't sack him a lot, but they got to him quite a few
Good
times.
pressure.
Eckler looked okay as well, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's probably if
But
I was a
we
Chiefs
probably
fan,
haven't
that'd be
said
my
enough
concern.
about Herbert,
the
to
line.
be honest. He really played well.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
Props
on the
to a young
completely
In a
man.
other side
debut
of this,
game, where he had no idea that he was even going to start, he really played well.
he looked great, and that's why I think we talked about it before in
Yeah.
good call, bad call. I think they have to start him. There's no
Yeah.
way Tyrod
Why
can start.
would you go back?
Be really disappointed to see it go the other way there.
Just not be a good football narrative.
No, it wouldn't. And sticking with the theme of the night, that's what we're all about.
Absolutely.
Hey, I think that would pretty much do us. You happy
Pretty
with
much
that?
do it, I reckon. Give the people the socials,
Review of
please.
week 2 in the books. The tips came out as take me through it again, Chucky. I'm
13
drawing a
for
blank.
me, 13 for Schnars, and 12 for you.
So a good
out of
weekend on the
16.
tips. We'll get a graphic up. Jim Tiki will sort on a graphic for the tipping results there.
Shout out, Jim.
Make sure you see that in this video, obviously, but also on our socials, we'll be sure to plug that. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok these days.
Shout out to Jim Tiki. His personal project, that one.
That's right, and it's really seen some good uptake. Slim Slam and the Bandwagon Fan for all those platforms. Make sure you check him out because our clips are coming thick and fast, and we're getting some really good uptake with that. Spotify and YouTube, follow and subscribe respectively there. Continue to show us the support, even in the last, a couple of hours, we picked up a few more.
Three in the last hour. Subscribers on YouTube.
That support is unreal. Twitter, SSBF Podcast, Apple Music coming soon. I know we say that
Been
a bit
saying it for
lately.
a while, but we'll get it.
Well, we'll get there
get it.
eventually.
By the end of the
glorious.
year, guaranteed.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
That's a Slammers guarantee.
We are pretty much everywhere you get your podcast except for Apple Music at the minute. But hey, that's coming. With that said, Chucky, I think that'll pretty much
Send
do
us
us.
out, mate.
Yep,
No
take
worries.
us away, my
He's been
friend.
Slim. I've been Slam. That's the Bandwagon Fan. Good night.